The 2026 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid is probably one of the most popular vehicles on the market, and with reason. But my mom always told me it's what's on the inside that counts, and I think that's why people are falling in love with it. Hi everybody, and welcome to Outsider Reviews. My name is Pat, and we got Luke behind the camera. We're the Outsiders, and this is the Tucson Hybrid 2026 N Line. Now, a lot of the folks in the United States would be like, N Line? Yeah, that's a trim more particular in Canada. We have the N Line. It's hybrid, it's a little bit sportier of a look, and actually it has a sport tuned suspension, which we'll find out a little bit more about it when we're driving it. But as far as aesthetic looks, yeah, a little mild refresh, a little bit different look right here in the front end. Everything's LED, everything looks crisp. I have no issues with the looks at all. We got 8.3 inches of ground clearance. So obviously, if you're gonna go in deep snow, you need to know what your ground clearance are. But what's the specs for this, which is what I like to do right away. 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder hybrid, 6-speed transmission. Yeah, not a CVT. Kind of glad they went that way. 231 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy estimated, combined fuel economy 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers or 38 miles per gallon. I'll tell you later what I'm actually getting. And it is standard all-wheel drive. Price, $47,000 Canadian or $36,000 US. So you know right away, this subcompact SUV competes with the most famous of all vehicles, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, as well as the Honda CR-V. So I may be making some points here and there about how the Tucson compares to it. As far as aesthetic looks, you guys are going to tell me what you prefer. Where you prefer those two, or you prefer this one. I think this one looks pretty good. I like over here when you come around, and Luke also really good. And we have obviously a set of winter tires because, as you can see, winter is here. But the rim design, and you have the nice N here, that is particularly pretty nice touch. So we got 235 55s R19, so 19-inch wheels on this vehicle with some pair of Yokohama studless winter tires. It's a good look, as well as the badge. So most of the N-Line stuff is aesthetics, but they took it not on just only on the outside, but the inside as well. And I think they did a pretty good job on the inside. I'm getting ahead of myself because the inside, I think, is where this vehicle is really at. But let's keep going on the outside. So I have approach, departure, lock and unlock. So I press here. You hear a tone, and then you stick your hand here, and then it locks only on the front door, not on the back end. So over here, fuel economy, regular fuel, of course. My combined fuel economy I did 50-50, 50% highway, 50% city/rural driving. I'm at 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers. Not too shabby, but that's definitely different, a little higher than what's recommended. In miles per gallon, that's about 34 miles per gallon. In the back end, everything's LED, looking pretty nice. You got a LED bar, a nice Hyundai logo, and then you see no wiper. It is tucked in back here. So I do have a rear wiper, which I definitely appreciate. And you know what? I am growing more and more in love with these tucked in wipers because, as you can tell, snow falls here quite frequently. And when you're brushing snow, usually you have to mess around with the wiper, keeping all the snow there. So now it's pretty easy. There's not a big stack of snow that stays there because it's all being pushed down. I like that. So you have some badge, Tucson, you have H-Track all-wheel drive, hybrid badges, and everything else. As far as opening the trunk, it's just a simple use of the button over here. So right here, I'm gonna open it up. It's going to open up to 38 cubic feet of space. It's a pretty nice flat floor. I do have a 12-volt plug-in right there, as well as here I can just take the flooring and drop it another level so you can see how you can maximize a lot more space. Now I'm going to put it back up because I'm going to put those seats down, and it's going to show 74 cubic feet of space. Latches are over here, spring-loaded. They go like this, and to get the full 74, you're just basically gonna drop the seat. So So there you go, 74 cubic feet of space in here. You don't really have to jump in like I did. You can just walk around, but just I felt this was more dramatic. Anyways, let's go sit down and see how comfortable it is. Here we are in the back. So as soon as you open the door, yeah, you do have some plastic on top, but then you have a nice use of fabric, especially for this segment and in the back seat. So I have some leatherette, a little bit of, I don't know, kind of like jean kind of fabric almost. Some more leatherette, some piano black here. Not a big fan. And we do have heated outboard seats because the buttons are in the door. Heated outboard seats, guys, in this segment. Pretty cool. And some nice suede, I guess, kind of fabric. I'm not a fabric specialist, not something that I am too specific about, but some red stitching. This is definitely a nice look. As I go inside, can you say best in class legroom? 41.3 inches of legroom. I'm 5'9", and I can tell you I still have about an inch of headroom. So definitely higher up. I definitely feel like the seats are a little bit higher up here, and they recline. That's right. Hyundai threw the whole shebang inside this vehicle, and I love it. I'm definitely a fan of it. So you can recline. You have cup holders. Yeah, there you go. Decent sized cup holders. 2 USB-Cs over here. Ventilation over here, and a pretty minimalistic hump over here, so you could potentially have somebody, a third person, in the back here and not be too hampered by the traditional hump. I like these elastic cargo nets here in the front with some hard plastic. I like this because it's easier to clean, in my opinion. As a family man, I can appreciate this, and especially appreciate the heated outboard seats in this kind of weather. Before we go in the front, of course, same kind of materials in the door. We got some nice red stitching accent, a little bit more of it, a little more leatherette. Still some piano black, that's okay for this kind of price line. And you start to see the Bose sound system. Yeah, I know, right? A Bose sound system in this Tucson, pretty nice. And as we take a look at seats, so I have 8-way power adjustment seats on my side, and the passenger side's got manual adjustment. And right here, nice thick plastic logo. I like it. I like the look of it. It's very sporty. We have heated seat, not ventilated, but we do have some nice sporty looking seats with those red accents. I definitely am all for it. I love it. As I go in, look at these digital display here. Dual display. It just looks like one big screen, but it's all 100% digital. And as I look at the driver portion here, yeah, you can customize somewhat what you want, but this one here is where you would have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's got a good response to it. Everything's nicely laid out. And this is what I am talking about, is show me you listen to your customers without telling me you're listening to customers, because it's got a perfect combination of buttons, knobs, screens, and accessibility. Everything is ergonomic because I don't have to reach far for anything. Everything I would like to use here, my drive mode toggles are here, my terrain mode toggles are here, my camera button over here. I don't have 360-degree camera, I just have that rear camera over here. So I guess in some trims you can have 360 camera, and I guess that would pop up on this side, but not in this particular trim, because we're talking still somewhat for the hybrid version. It's kind of like an entry-level trim. You gotta love it for the price point. Everything that I'm looking at, I am loving, right? Wireless charger right here. Cup holders, they do fit big gulp size. I got a decent size center console here. And when you're looking at this amount of cargo space here, so this is all soft rubber, so it's definitely not going to scratch your device, not going to scratch anything, but it's definitely going to stick as well. I have 2 USB-C ports here, and I can always push this button if I want to use wired Apple or Android Auto, or if I just want to charge the device, I just toggle to it. But HVAC control, heated seats and everything. It's kind of tactile, but it's very responsive. I got 2 levels of heat for my steering wheel and 3 levels of heat for my seat. I just think that it is such a great job. The steering wheel looks really sporty. It's got another N Line here badge right here, and it's just buttons and everything. I got lane keep assist, obviously for the advanced cruise control, and the lane keep assist does such a great job at keeping you centered. Now you obviously have to keep your hands on, but with hands off, it'll keep you in your lane. It is really smooth, way better than most manufacturers out there at this price point. A lot of them at this price point, they kind of go cheap on the lane keep and assist. They kind of just shove you a little bit or vibrate a little bit just to tell you, and then eventually this one just keeps you nice and centered. I am loving it. Moving on to the passenger, nice shelf here. And so obviously it would fit perfectly for a device. That's clearly what it's there for. So there you go, it fits perfectly there. I would have loved to, well, maybe in the top trim, make that a wireless charger, and you just bam, that would be exceptional. Awesome. I have, here we go, I'll show you guys here, rain sensing wipers. And one thing I love, Luke, I don't know if you can pick that up on the screen, but whenever you switch to whatever setting you go to, it tells you on your screen, whether it's the front wiper or the rear wiper, it tells you which setting it's at. And I love that about it. I love being able to not take a look at the knob, like where's the knob pointing and all stuff. It just pops up on your screen. They've thought about so many things just to make your life easier as you're driving. Well, I guess it's time to go driving ourselves now. Let's go in snow mode. There you go. And something that I forgot to mention is when you turn off the vehicle, it actually will go back to eco mode. So that can be a little bit frustrating. I like the vehicle to remember the drive mode I'm in, but most of them don't. They always reset to like normal or something. But this has, for drive modes, it only has for terrain, it has sand, mud, and snow. And for drive modes, it's got My Drive, Sport, or Eco. So My Drive, I've configured it through the screen, and so that it is, you know, kind of a normal drive mode. And let's go again, snow, which should temper the acceleration. All right, so we're in snow mode. Let's make a right turn. So yeah, right off the bat, when I press on the accelerator, I can feel it that it tempers my acceleration. Now, I've been driving this vehicle all week, and as you can see, we've got no shortage of fluffy stuff. And I find that the H-Track all-wheel drive does do a good job at maintaining some traction. Well, let's do a little bit of a little bit tighter. I am going a little bit at a higher speed. There you go. It really realigned that, because I did do a little bit of a skid. I feel it more than you will see it probably in the camera, but there was an uncontrolled skid there, and it realigned so fast that it's quite impressive. And as I'm driving now, the suspension is definitely more tuned for sport because it's the N Line, and that is one of the differences that's not aesthetics on this trim, is the suspension tuned, sports tuned suspension. So you are going to feel a little bit more of the bumps and imperfections in the roads, but what you will also notice is that there's less body roll. Now that's not too much of an issue here in the snow, because your chances are you're gonna slide if you take a corner pretty fast. More sliding than body roll, but and that's not what we're gonna aim for. But I am quite happy with the traction control system here, as I can drive with pretty good confidence on this road. Now I am hitting some of these potholes a little bit on purpose, like this one here, and it is a little bit more rigid of a suspension. But as far as vibrations or noise, this vehicle seems to be pretty well put together, and the noise seems to be very limited. Now the engine does, like most vehicles in this segment, produce a not so pleasing kind of revving noise, but they all do it. The RAV4 is probably the worst to have a engine that sounds just not really good. sound, but the Tucson is also not the most pleasing sound here. There we go. Take a little bit of a curve here. Good traction, of course. No tires. Always the tires is what's going to do most of the work, but I'm aiming for a patch of pavement there at the end of this country road. And now that I'm going to go back into, let's go into my drive mode. Well, you know what, let's go into sport, because this is pavement. It's a little wet, but still it's not a performance car in the sense that it's really gonna kick that much and skid out of control, but it's got some nice response to it. The throttle response is pretty good because of that electric motor. Let's take a left turn here. Yeah, actually it did kick up, it did slide a little bit. So it's, the power output is quite surprising. As I am going to slow down a little bit here, let's try, you know what, there's no traffic behind me. As I activate the rear wiper, and let's go from a dead start. These guys are probably wondering what I'm doing, and let's go. Throttle in the see, the 6-speed transmission there seemed to have a little bit of issue about figuring out how to shift off the line. There was a lag there. Overall, I like the stance on the pavement here. Still very stable. Noise is still very minimum. And power output for the city is actually pretty good. Highway driving, obviously, you're still dealing with a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, so you're still, the horsepower is still on a pretty good side compared to competitors, like 231 horsepower, 271 pounds-feet of torque. It's not too bad. It's just highway driving, they're all gonna, yeah, you're gonna hear that engine rev when you get to highway speeds. So I'm gonna tap a little bit, use some brake, get some regen here. As you can see, the charge loading up. See if I can get these electric motors to kick in. Let's come to a complete stop, almost a complete stop here. Stop, and my mode here, accelerating a little bit. Yeah, so it does have an issue with the shift. It does have off the line. If I give it full throttle, there's that half a second decision here that has to be made by the computer. Seems to be struggling with that a little bit. But when you're doing small or not full throttle kind of increments, then you get a better response from the Tucson. Let's make a left turn here, and getting some regen back with the brakes. And as I'm in movement, pedal, oh yeah, really, okay, that's really quick acceleration there, right? So a little bit less hard on the throttle gives me a quicker acceleration, so that you still have that nice responsiveness, that nice sporty feel. You just have to not hammer down the throttle, essentially. So yeah, driving is quite pleasant. I have nothing bad to say. The seats are quite comfortable. That's not always the case for a larger person like myself with a vehicle this size, but obviously a lot of legroom both in the front and the back. And let's just go park it and conclude it. All right, so the drive's over. Time to conclude. 2026 Hyundai Tucson hybrid, and this is the N Line. N Line sporty. Yeah, suspension's a little bit more rigid, and that's how it's supposed to be. My pros and cons are basically my pros is everything about the car. There's a lot to love. The features they give you, and more, especially for the hybrid, is how smooth it is. When you're not trying to race anybody or anything like that, but just like driving, common driving, city driving, the fact that the hybrid motor just is very well tuned for that kind of driving, just very smooth. It's like butter. Just almost like you don't have that 6-speed transmission, which you do. Everything about the inside, great. The features, the space, It's very spacious in there for people. It's got plenty of room for cargo. Great value because you got heated outboard seats in the back. You got a very nice looking interior, right? I like the accents they do in there, the red accents and everything, the shelves, the wireless charger. There's so much to be said. Lane centering, advanced cruise control does a phenomenal job. So there's a lot of pros there. My only cons is, well, because my fuel efficiency was more like 7.2, 7.3 liters per 100 kilometers, I feel that's a little bit high for this kind of hybrid and such. So it's definitely not going to be as low as some of the other competitors out there. And when you try to drive perhaps from a dead start, pedal to the floor, accelerate, it seems to have a bit of a lag of trying to decide how it's going to shift. So there's a lag there, maybe like half a second lag, but it's noticeable. But if you're not racing every time you go out and drive, it's not really a big deal for you. Overall, I absolutely love it. I love the value of this. I love the warranty they give you and all that stuff that comes with a Hyundai vehicle. And that, yeah, compared to a fully gas internal combustion engine, yeah, it's still gonna save you some fuel. So it does everything very well. The interior is where it's most appealing. The level of comfort, the level of features and everything. Exterior is not too bad looking, but I'd like to know what you guys think. Comment below, where are you at in the Tucson? Where else are you shopping? Just let me know what you're thinking about this vehicle as a whole. As far as I'm concerned, there's way more pros than cons when it comes to the Tucson. So comment below, subscribe to the channel, please, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
That wraps up our Hyundai Tucson review. How did you like it?
I love it. Can't wait to chase it.